ādi-nātho maheśānaḥ sarva-kārana-kāraṇam sarva-kartā vijayate sarva-ātma-katayā sthitaḥ. The primeval Lord Maheśa, who is the cause of all causes, who is the creator of everything, stands as the soul of everything. May he be completely victorious. Namaste. So that's the opening verse of the third chapter of the Māhātmya-Khaṇḍa of Sri Tripurārahasyam. And that's the current subject of this series. But you know, I noticed something very interesting. That the most popular series on my channel is The Secret of the Golden Flower. And after that, some of the stuff I did back even further on Buddhism. So these series were done 3, 4, 5 years ago, when I was still a seeker. And they recount only a small view of the present stage at that time of my spiritual development. They don't give the whole picture. And because of this, they allow a kind of a distorted view of the whole thing. And this is one of the problems in spiritual life, that one who is focused on a particular segment or a particular process of self-realization often cannot see the forest for the trees. He's hung up on one tree. And actually the Buddhists in Thailand have an expression for this, where someone is up a tree. If they say, oh yeah, so-and-so, this monk is up a tree, it means he's stuck on a particular stage. And he's not seeing the whole picture. He's not seeing the whole path and where he is on that path. And as a result, he can get all kinds of misinformed ideas. And I think the greatest danger today, because of information services, the internet, and so on, is that one can think, let's see, the Raja Yoga or the Buddha's teaching is higher than Bhakti or Karma Yoga. So let me just go directly to that because it's higher. But this is a mistaken idea. And the reason it's mistaken has to do with our good old chart. Here it is again. The 4 darshanams. That you have to have the qualification, the adhikari, for the higher stages. Or you can do the process, but you won't get the result. So this is the problem. I see people, hundreds and hundreds of viewers, going to the Secret of the Golden Flower series and like that. And this series has comparatively few views. I don't know, maybe the word hasn't got around on the people who are into the goddess. But for some reason there's less views, and I view this as confirmation of my theory. That people driven by a feeling of egoism and elitism are saying, oh, these other teachings are higher, so I'll just jump to that. But what those series don't say, maybe they should say, if I had a chance to go back and do them all over again, I would have included this information. That the reason I was able to reach those high stages and get through them and got the results so quickly was that I had a long, deep background in karma and bhakti yoga. The first two stages, the first two darshans or views of the Absolute. So this is the real secret. And this is why in this present series I've kind of gone back to the Viśiṣṭādvaita platform. And I'm teaching a work that's basically bhakti. Because the conclusion of the work is jnana. But it also gives the prerequisites, allow you to develop the qualifications for jnana. See, and what are they? Well, various good qualities, such as steadiness, devotion, love of God, and so on, plus a large store of punya, good karma, that you developed by going through the karma and bhakti yoga stages. You have to have this background. You have to have this bank account. If you go to the bank and you ask for a loan, they say, well, what's your bank balance like? What are your assets like? See, do you have the qualification? Or if you go to a company and ask for a job, they say, what's your history like? Do you have the qualifications? Do you have the knowledge, the experience, and so on? So why should it be any different with spiritual life? Why do people throw reason and common sense aside and say, I can just jump up to the highest platform? Yeah, I've just declared myself enlightened, you know. It's not going to work. It's not going to provide the actual result of the real path, which is a change in consciousness, or rather a change in point of view that allows you to see the real state of consciousness. For example, Tripura, the goddess, is so named because she represents, or she is, the energy of the three states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. And she is also beyond that. She's Turiya. The fourth state, which is the root or substrate of them all. So, when one realizes the goddess, or Shiva, you can realize through Shiva or you can realize through Tripura. It's just a matter of personal taste. You can realize through meditation or you can realize through bhakti. And the best, of course, is a combination of both. But anyway, once you realize this higher state of consciousness, Turiya, then you can see the other three states of consciousness are going on all the time anyway. Because Turiya is the root that connects them all. So in this way, if you have the background, you can reach this state of consciousness or this point of view that allows you to see that, to realize that. It's not just theoretical, it's practical. And this leads to great happiness, great satisfaction of the soul. So, I encourage people, if they haven't done it already, to go back and do these processes of karma and bhakti yoga. You can read up on them on the internet. You're not a dummy, right? You can use Google, right? Sometimes people ask me like really trivial questions, like the meaning of a certain word or something. It's easy to find on the internet. If you're seeing this video, you're on the internet, right? So use Google, that's what it's for. And you'd be surprised how good Google is even with Sanskrit words. So, back to our story. In the second chapter, Haritayana got a commission coming down from Lord Brahmā through his son Nārada to write this work about the goddess, which had previously only been an oral tradition amongst the sages. But for the good of the world, it should be spread amongst people in general. So therefore, he was given not only the direction to write it, he was also given the vision, the consciousness necessary to write it. So this is a very wonderful blessing. So in the next chapter, this chapter, chapter 3, he has already written, because it was only going to take him 4 weeks to write it. So once it's written, Nārada comes back again. And he says, okay, it's done now, right? And that, let me be the first to hear it. So that's where we come back to the story. And so when Nārada says this, Haritayana responds, O great sage, son of Brahmā, this text has been composed by your grace alone. Although knowing everything, you wish to listen to it from me, your disciple. It's the natural tendency of great good beings. Grapefruit will be the same, whether placed in a clay pot or in a gem-studded chalice. Its natural sweet taste will never change with the container. So here Haritayana is being very humble. He's saying a sweet fruit like grapefruit. Oh, by the way, you people in the West, you have never tasted real grapefruit. Grapefruit in the West is often very acidic and sour. That's because it's picked too early. And then they use various chemicals and other nonsense to ripen it, but it doesn't ripen really fully. So it has a very sour taste, you know. Real grapefruit that ripens on the tree is sweet. It's nice. Same with pineapple. And anyway, just to know that one little trivial fact. It doesn't matter whether your grapefruit is in a simple clay pot. Haritayana is comparing himself to the clay pot. He's a very simple guy. Or a gem-studded chalice like Nārada, the son of Brahmā. Wow. But their knowledge is the same. And the sweetness of that knowledge is also the same. But he says, this is the tendency of great souls, to hear the truth, the sweet truth, again and again and again. Why? Because each hearing reveals fresh insights and delivers fresh bliss. So he goes on. It is no wonder that good men who know everything listen without envy to the ambrosial story of the Transcendental Devī, even though a short one. Placing your order on my head and remembering the instructions of Brahmā, I will narrate the most wonderful, extremely nectarean Tripurārahasyam. Extremely nectarean Tripurārahasyam, in the form of a dialogue between you and me. Listen to it with concentration. This last sentence is a standard device used in oral recitation to keep the attention of the audience. So it's not an insult to Nārada that he tells him, now you listen with concentration. No, this is just a standard way of reciting a great epic. So he says, the story is a short one. Oh, really? It's a big, thick book. I've got it right here. Look at this. 800 and something is a big format, 8.5 by 11, and 890 pages or something like that. So it's not exactly short, is it? Well, yes, because these traditions also exist in the higher planets, the higher planetary systems where the demigods and like that reside. And in those planets, these epics are much, much longer because people live for a longer time. They have more time to hear. So when they're gathering together to hear these epics from a great sage, they'll sit for years and listen. They have the time. That's part of being a god, you know. You have plenty of time. So this edition is actually condensed, right? And the way we're reciting it here on the video series is even more condensed, because we're just giving you the high points. So now we're going to take up the actual Tripurārahasyam and narrate the story of the great goddess. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Harihi Aum.